Hello, thank you for watching this video. This is the second video to the uh, SQL Developer course that I took. All right, and sorry I've been away so long. It's been a few months. Hopefully I can be a little bit more consistent with creating my videos. All right, so again, hi all. Thank you for joining this second PL SQL video. And this will be a video discussing database programming. So just to do a quick review, if you viewed the first video, the PL/SQL is a procedural extension of SQL, standard query language. The PL/SQL enables developers to combine the power of SQL with procedural statements such as conditions, loops, variables, functions, and exceptions. This language allows methods to handle results, sets, and large objects. So again, if you remember, PL/SQL is a block structured language, right? So and it has three components. If you see here, we have the three components, which we have the declare, the procedural, and the exception. The declare has a keyword um, called declare, and then the procedural, excuse me, has a keyword uh, called begin. And after this keyword begin, we have the executable statements and the end keyword. But the third component as well is the exception, which is the error handling, and that has a keyword of exception. So that's something I discussed in the last video, so hopefully you remember it. So yeah, let's kind of look at again the structure of everything. So we have a label name, which is optional. Um, the declaration part, which you have your variables, your cursors, your local types, and your subprograms, and that's optional as well. Um, and then again, you have your begin keyword, which is required. You have your statements, your exception, which is optional. If you have any exceptions for your uh, this block of code, and then you have your end, which you can call your label here to end this block of code. All right, and again, to review the PL/SQL, you have your PL/SQL block of code, and then your block of code is actually broken up. You have your procedural statements, and then you have your SQL statements, and you're giving your output. So you see your SQL statements goes to the database, and then your procedural is it goes to the PL/SQL engine. So you have the procedural statement executor, and then the SQL statement executor. All right. This video would not be long. This is just a video just to get back into creating videos of my class of the PLSQL. So let's just go into a little bit more conversation. Um, let's first talk about creating the uh, tables, database tables, right? So I do have my database CSC 4250. That's the course that I took. So actually, there's nothing here. Oh, that should have been dropped. So let me drop that. So just start fresh. So if you see here, this is the location where your tables exist, and you start creating views, packages, procedures. Definitely something where this class does. It creates procedures and functions. I don't think we get into any of these. We do get into triggers. That's all definitely later on. No, we don't think we discuss materials views. Maybe synonyms. Not sure. Don't remember. But anyhow, so let's go ahead and create the tables. Again, if you're familiar with creating tables with SQL, excuse me, you should be familiar with creating tables. You have your uh, department table. We have your department ID, department name, etc. And if you see here, the department name cannot be null, and then we have the department ID as the primary key. And it looks like I want to create this as a foreign key later or something. All right, then we have the employees, employee name, first name, last name, blah, blah, blah. And if you see here, the employee ID is the primary key. We have not null on some of the columns. And then we have references. So we have this manager ID that references the employee, or it references itself. And then we have a constraint, uh, which references the departments, department ID. And then here we have the location. We have the location ID of the primary key. We made the location ID again the primary key, and then everything else is defined. City is not null, and so on and so on. So let's clear this out. Let's create these tables. And you see here in the output, you have your departments created, your employees created, and your locations created. So all three tables are created. So now you can go here and say, where are my tables? And here you see your columns for each table. And then with these constraints, if you uh, remove them in incorrect order, I believe it will throw an error. So department ID references departments. And so if I remove employees without moving departments first, then I have an error. So let's try that. Let's try to drop that table. All right. So let's clear that out. Oh, it dropped. Hold on. I have to look that up. But anyhow, yeah, I should get an error references. We have the constraint here, and then references the department table for the department ID. Uh, in the next video, I will address that. It's just been a minute since I um, have worked on this. So I have to refresh. So let's refresh again. So again, we have the departments, the employees, and locations. And again, the idea is that having those constraints will give you less flexibility where you have to remove tables in a certain order. But that's something I have to refresh, and I will look that up and talk about that in the next lecture. So in my notes, I have tables have the primary key, again, which I just stated, which makes this value unique, and the table only, there can only be one primary key per table. Uh, Tables can get connected via foreign key and primary key. So I can connect um, this employee's tables to this department table via the primary key. And which means referential relationships, foreign keys, referencing to the primary key or unique key. So in here, if I wanted to connect to this table here, this departments, I would create a foreign key here. So Maybe that's the issue. I don't have a foreign key in this table. So I'll create a table that creates a foreign key because if you see here, we have a department ID that references the department, but it's not created as a foreign key. I have this constraint. I could talk about that later, but this is not a foreign key. So maybe that's the reason why, and I can work on that later. But anyhow, I say here the employees has references to the departments tables, what I just stated. And here you can see employees references departments column, department ID, which is the primary key in the department table, which I just stated. Note if you have a constraint when creating your table, then you have to remove the table in correct order. I have a constraint here, but I was able to remove the departments. So I have to look that up too. Now let's get back to the PL/SQL fundamentals. Do we have a block structure here? Hold on, let me see something. Let's see here. So again, the PL/SQL is a block structure programming language, and in this one, we're just gonna do another simple output, but this time we're gonna declare some variables, and we're gonna get an output of those variables, right? So we're not gonna actually do too much, right? So again, in order to get the output, we need to set the server variable to on. I believe it's off as the default. So let's just go ahead and set that. So I'm going to set the page size just for the output to be 60. The server output, which is key, we're going to set to be on so we can get uh, values outputted at the bottom in the output location. So let's just run that. Again, we purging the recycle bin of any objects that may be um, still in memory, which can slow up your, processing any of your block code. So let's just declare some variables. Let's execute some statements, and then let's end the block code. So let's do some. So let's declare. So what variables we want? So I will use the variables that we used in our class. So let's say name 1, and that's gonna be a varchar, which has a limit value of 25. And let's just go ahead and define it as Washington. And you have to use single quotes. And then name 2, variable. And that's going to have the same definition. And let's go ahead and define that as Lincoln. And let's define a couple of salaries. And we're going to define it as a number. And we're going to give the first person 150,000. And then the second person 120,000. And if you see notes here, to set the values of the created variables, it has to be a colon equals, and just uh, the next thing. Let's begin. Let's do the begin keyword, and it doesn't have to be uppercase or lowercase. I just like writing them as uppercase. You can do lowercase, I believe. Begin, and it will work just fine. Or it doesn't matter, camel case or whatever. I mean the regular first letter uppercase, rest lowercase, not camel case. But anyhow, so let's do the begin, and here we're gonna begin executing some statements. That's just then we're gonna end it again. So this is um, right here is the simplest uh, block of code for PL SQL that you can create. It actually doesn't need this. You can just run this, but there is no output, right? So there's no output. So right now I just declare some variables. If I run it, no output. So now let's get some output. So we execute some statements. I'll go ahead and null this out because we're gonna actually get some output now. Let's see here. So we're just gonna do db ms output dot put underscore line name one. So I'm grabbing the variables names. I'm associate name one with salary one, name two with salary two, and I'm just gonna concatenate those values with the space in between. So one. All right. So all that's going to do is get those variable values and output those into my SQL area where I'm executing these statements. So let's run that and see what happens. Oh, we have an error. Let's see here. Something is wrong. It says here, line 1143, cell 1 must be declared. Oh. Make sure I have L1. L1. So let's clear that out. Let's run this again. Okay. So if you see here, my variable name one, salary one, is Washington 150,000, and then variable two, name two, variable two, Lincoln 120,000. All right, so that is just again the introduction, and hopefully in the next video I'll definitely get into more details. Uh, Again, it's been a while. It's been a few months since I posted last, and we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.